Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever wondered what happens when an entire country wants to sue another country? Where do they even go? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the highest court on the planet, the International Court of Justice.
Okay, let's just dive right in. It sounds like a simple question, but believe me, the answer is fascinatingly complex. I mean, when one nation has a serious legal beef with another, maybe it's a border dispute, a broken treaty, or something even bigger, they can't just file some paperwork at a local courthouse, right? You need a global stage for a global problem.
And that stage is in The Hague, in the Netherlands. It's home to the International Court of Justice, which most people just call the World Court. This is the one place where entire nations, not individuals, go to settle their legal battles. It's the main judicial body of the United Nations, and its whole purpose is to use international law to sort out these massive, high-stakes disputes.
But, a court like this doesn't just spring up out of nowhere. It's actually the result of a really long struggle to apply the rule of law to international affairs. It's an idea that took decades and, frankly, a couple of world wars to really take hold.
You can really see its evolution right here on this timeline. The journey started way back in 1899 with the Permanent Court of Arbitration. It was a good first step, providing a system, but not a standing court. Then, after World War I, the League of Nations created the Permanent Court of International Justice, a huge leap forward. And finally, after the devastation of World War II, the UN established the ICJ we know today, learning from everything that came before it.
So, who are the actual people making these monumental decisions? Let's talk about the judges, because the way this court is put together is very deliberate. It's designed to be a reflection of the entire world it serves.
The court is made up of 15 judges, and each one is elected to a 9-year term. These aren't lifetime appointments, by the way. The idea behind the staggered 9-year terms is to keep things stable, while also allowing for new perspectives to come in over time.
Now, how they're chosen is really interesting. They get elected by both the UN General Assembly and the Security Council. They have to be of, quote, high moral character and be qualified for the top judicial jobs in their own countries. And here are two really crucial rules. No two judges can be from the same nation, and the bench as a whole must represent the principal legal systems of the world. So common law, civil law, you name it. It's not just a collection of lawyers, it's a microcosm of the world's legal DNA.
And to make sure that global balance is a reality, there's this informal agreement on how the seats are divided up by region. Now, this isn't written down in the official rules, but it's a practice that's been followed for a very long time. The whole point is to build trust in the court's fairness and to make sure that different global viewpoints are always in the room.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point. How does the court actually work? It doesn't just hear one kind of case. It actually has two very different powers that serve two very different purposes for the world. On the one hand, you have what are called contentious cases. These are the real-deal lawsuits between countries. When two nations agree to let the court decide, the final judgment is legally binding, period. But on the other hand, the court provides advisory opinions. This is when a UN body like the General Assembly asks the court, hey, can you clarify the law on this for us? These opinions aren't technically binding, but they have enormous influence and help shape international law.
But here's the catch. And honestly, it's the single most important thing to get about the ICJ's power. You cannot drag a country to court if it doesn't want to go. The entire system, the whole shebang, is built on the principle of consent. The court can only hear a case if the countries involved have agreed to let it.
So, how exactly does a country give its consent? Well, there are a few main ways. Two countries can sign a special agreement for just one specific dispute, or they might have already signed a treaty that says any future problems will be solved by the ICJ. Some countries go even further and make what's called an optional clause declaration, basically saying they accept the court's authority as mandatory. And finally, there's a simpler way. If a country just shows up and starts arguing the case, well, that's taken as consent.
So we've seen how a case gets to the court and how it's decided, but that leads us to the biggest question of them all. What happens after the judges make their ruling?
I mean, the UN Charter is crystal clear on this. It says every UN member promises to follow the court's decision in any case they're a part of. It's a foundational pledge. But, promises can be broken.
And that's the ultimate reality check for international law, isn't it? The court has no police force, no global army, no way to physically force a country to do anything. So what actually gives a world court ruling its teeth?
This is where the world of law slams right into the world of politics. The ICJ itself has zero enforcement power. If a country digs in its heels and refuses to comply, the only option is to take the issue to the UN's most powerful body, the Security Council. They're the ones who can authorize action.
And right here, we find the court's Achilles heel, the veto. For the Security Council to enforce a ruling, it needs to pass a resolution. But any of the 5 permanent members, the US, UK, France, Russia, and China, can kill any resolution with a single no vote. This means a permanent member can break the rules and then veto its own punishment. The textbook's example is the Nicaragua v. United States case from 1986. The court ruled against the US, and then the US went to the Security Council and used its veto to block enforcement of that exact ruling.
So you can see this deep paradox at the heart of the ICJ, right? It holds all this legal power, but when it comes to enforcement, everything depends on political will. So if that's the case, what's its ultimate value? Why does it even matter?
It really is an institution of immense legal authority that is constantly checked by political reality. You can see the two sides of the coin here. For every strength, like offering a peaceful way to solve problems, there's a challenge, like the fact that nations have to choose to walk that path and accept the result.
And this really gets to the core of it. Even without a global army, the court's rulings carry incredible weight. Its true power is what we call soft power. A judgment from the ICJ provides legitimacy, it shapes international norms, it can rally diplomatic pressure, and sway public opinion around the world. Ignoring a ruling comes with a huge reputational cost.
In the end, the World Court is an absolutely essential but also imperfect institution. It really represents this long-held dream of humanity to solve our biggest problems with arguments instead of with weapons. And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Is this court a symbol of our greatest hopes for a world based on rules, or is it a sober reflection of the limits of that dream? The answer, like with so much in our world, is probably both.